Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. In this video, I want to give you the lowdown on lunges. Now, this comes from a student asking me a question. And generally, questions related to lunges generally come in two forms. Are they better than squats? Do you use them instead of squats? Do you use them with squats? So that's generally one sort of avenue of questioning that I get when it comes to lunges is from an exercise perspective standpoint, is it a good exercise? And the answer is, of course, yes, it's a fantastic exercise. Like anything else, if it causes you problems, there's any pain in the knee, hips, ankles, whatever the case is, then you not got to reconsider the biomechanics or reconsider the exercise itself. But for the average client, for the average person, athlete, for sure, lunges are a great exercise. I'm not really sure I would use them in place of squats, but again, the question is always when it comes to the choice of an exercise, whether it be lunges or any other leg exercises, is it safe for the particular individual? From a purely biomechanical perspective, it's perfect. It's a great exercise. Generally considered to be unilateral because you're focusing on one leg over the other, but you're actually using, to a certain extent, a little bit of the supporting leg to a certain extent again. So that's like one avenue. And then the other avenue of question is always, well, given that it is a good exercise and I am going to use it in my training program, which is the best way to do it, right? Should I do forward lunges? Should I do rear lunges, right? One is where I step forward with that lead, and that leading leg becomes the leg quote that I'm working, right? The quadriceps that I'm working. Or do I step back and the leg that steps back becomes a stabilizer, and therefore the leg that is stationary, that's left forward as I step back, that becomes the leg quote that I am working. And then, of course, kind of as an aside, this idea of doing what has been termed, and I'm going to use air quotes, side lunges, because there's no such thing as a side lunge. And I'll explain that in a second. Yes, no such thing. Please don't be doing anything like that. Those are, if you want to actually try to do what would technically be considered a side lunge, you're going to hurt people. And you're probably going to get hurt. The reality is that people don't do side lunges. They put one leg out to the side and they do a single leg squat. That's all it is. Please don't use the terminology side lunge. It is biomechanically impossible to perform a movement that does not allow the knee to go through flexion and extension. Therefore, a side lunge is simply going to be a sort of a um, single leg squat with one leg out to the side. And that's really all that is. I don't like to get too much into it. Basically, got to demonstrate it to somebody. And again, it's just not a relevant topic. We do forward or rear lunges. So on that, on that side of the ledger, the question of which is better, right? Doing them forward or to the rear, the answer is it doesn't really matter if they're done correctly. Now, let me give you the lowdown then, because that's sort of the title of the video. What is the lowdown on lunges? Um, if you just listen to that first part, lunges are a really good exercise, and there's many different ways to do them. You can do as long as you're doing them properly. Think about the different methods that you could use. In other words, I could hold dumbbells at my side while I perform a forward lunge or a rear lunge. So I'm holding dumbbells. That's providing the additional resistance I might need. I could use resistance on my back by holding a barbell. I could put weight on a barbell and do a forward lunge or do a rear lunge. I've done all of these. There's absolutely nothing wrong, unless, of course, there's an issue with the client and the biomechanics or something injury wise with their joints. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about provided everything else being equal, no knee issues, no hip, right? Hip flexor, hip extensor issues, no issues with the ankles, stability, balancing, things like that. All those um, variables taken into account. As long as that's all good, there is nothing biomechanically, quote, inherently dangerous about doing lunges. Okay. So, other than going down and whacking your knee on the ground. It's got to be slow, smooth, and controlled. The point is that it is a good exercise. So if we take that part of it, now we look and we say front lunges, rear lunges. The answer is yes, they're both fine. However, here's what I would say. My preference, especially now, and me personally, but always with clients, my preference is to do rear lunges. There's nothing wrong with doing forward lunges, but there are inherent differences in the possibility of doing it incorrect. So I always err on the side of performing an exercise in a way that will make it less problematic for a client. Let me say it that way. In other words, if I have a client, whether you're using weight or not, a dumbbell or a barbell, irrespective of the resistance that you're using, um, the reality is that when you step forward, and this is the way I explain it to a client, is that as you step forward, where is your body weight moving? In what direction? Duh, it's moving forward. So as you step forward, your torso, your hips, all the weight of your body is also now moving forward with that forward leg. Now, there's not an issue with that if while your entire body's moving forward with that foot stepping forward, as long as you keep your rib cage, your torso sort of up and back slightly, as soon as that forward foot hits the ground, you don't have this forward momentum of the torso and the body. Now, however, the way most people will do it, and you see it all the time, and this is where it's problematic, is that as a person steps forward, we see this in walking lunges, and there's a little issue with that, right? As people step forward, they allow the momentum of their entire body, their pelvis and their torso to also move forward. So imagine, here's my body, torso. As I step forward, the entire body and the momentum, all the weight of my body and my torso also moves forward. The tendency is for the torso to not only come forward, but lean forward, thereby putting force. Your force directional is forward, and that's going to put torsional stress on the knee potentially. Now, without any weight, is it going to hurt somebody? I don't know. But why even take, the way I look at it is, why even take the chance? So, because I now have this movement forward, this directional movement, we call it the force vector. As that goes forward, it puts stress, this sort of torsional stress, onto the knee. And that forward movement of the body, right, this way as I step forward, puts undue stress, this sort of horizontal type of stress onto the knee joint itself, and that could cause potential issues. So how would you deal with that? Well, instead of doing walking lunges, for instance, right, and you could do them correctly, but as the person moves forward, as their foot plants forward onto the ground, instead of allowing the torso to continue to move forward and put this stress on the knee, this forward movement, momentum of the body, you simply lean back slightly, stop, and go down. So, can you do forward squats safely? Absolutely. But they need to be done correctly, as I'm saying. And as you step forward, as that foot plants, you literally will lean the torso back so you stop that forward momentum, right, of all the weight of the body moving forward and putting that undue stress onto that forward knee. You step forward, foot plants down, and instead of going all the way, you stop, lean back slightly, and then allow that rear knee to go down to the ground right? Slowly, and just literally slightly tapping the ground. And what did I do? Doing this forward lunge, what I've done is I've eliminated that potentially dangerous stress on the knee because of forward momentum. Okay, done deal on that. Nothing wrong with a forward lunge. Again, when I'm training somebody that is new, novice, or even people that have been training for a while but never performed these exercises correctly, I'm still going to opt for in my opinion, the better option. Okay. And that is going to be stepping backwards or doing what's known as a rear lunge. Inherently, it is safer because of that variable that we talked about. Instead of the body moving forward and putting this undue potential torsional stress on the knee, now what you're doing is you're stepping backward. Okay, really tough question. If I'm stepping backward, where's all the weight of my body going? Right? Duh, it's going backwards. What I'm doing essentially is if I'm going to train my right leg first, or I can go alternate back and forth, of course. But let's just say I want to just stick with one leg. I'm going to step back, and that leg, that foot leg that is in the forward position as I step back, that becomes the leg that I'm working. The quad, generally we talk about training quads with lunges. That's what I'm working. Okay. So as I go back, my entire body goes back. Think of how now that force vector is in the completely opposite direction in a sense. Right? Instead of my body moving forward, now it's moving the exact opposite direction. So now instead of putting this force onto the knee forward, now as I step back, that force is taken off, and I'm literally able to just go down into the lunge position. This also allows your client, or when you're doing it, allows you to lean forward a little bit more safely, right? Instead of leaning forward into a forward lunge, which is potentially problematic, you can actually lean forward slightly. It's easier for balancing too, by the way, and have that leg go back, that rear leg go back, plant down to whatever distance you're going to put it, plant it down, and allow you then to move that knee. Now remember, in rear lunges, the leg that is moving is also the knee that is going down to the ground. Hope that makes sense. Training my right leg, left leg goes back. I'm able to lean forward. So say I'm holding dumbbells, I'm able to lean forward slightly, balance a little bit better. Rear foot touches down, knee goes down, and then I can bring it back up to that front position. That is the reason why I choose to do rear lunges, not because one is better than the other from a tension development perspective. They're probably exactly the same, I would think, as long as you get into those proper stabilized positions. Again, I would use the rear lunge because of the one variable that I've always found to be problematic with clients, which is what we just said, which is that as you go forward, the entire body momentum moves forward and puts this unnecessary, really, an undue stress on that forward knee. Again, can you do it correctly? Obviously, yes. You plant it down, you sit back slightly, and have your hips go down as that rear knee hits the ground. Rear lunges, leg goes back. It's automatic. You're not going to have that forward movement. It just makes life that much easier. So just to recap real quick, great exercise. If you're going to choose lunges over squats, that's up to you. They're both great exercises unless you can't do squats. And if you can't do squats, but you can do lunges, wow, what a great opportunity to train those quads, glutes. And by the way, one last thing, just so you know, yes, you can change the height of that foot, right? So if you want to do, say, a forward lunge and have that foot that you're stepping forward with, you can step it a little bit higher, which will allow that rear leg to go down a little bit lower, and that would increase the overall range of motion, particularly on your gluteal group. Okay. If you would like, I can do another video just on that because it does have some interesting permutations that could have pretty interesting dramatic effects on an individual when they change up exactly how they're doing the lunge. And if that's the case, just put that in the comment section below. Other than that, just write the word understand if this video was helpful. As always, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel and let us know that this video was helpful by giving us a thumbs up. Share it, of course, if you'd like to help out others as you're going through your personal training fitness journey. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks. Bye.